intolerance, and what parallels can be drawn between the play and contemporary global conflicts such as the Israel-Palestine crisis, the Rohingya persecution in Myanmar, and the communal riots in India. So my hypothesis is that a final solution demonstrates that religious intolerance is not only a local issue but a universal pattern where memory, fear, and political manipulation transform private prejudice into collective violence. By comparing the play with 21st century conflicts, we can argue that communal hatred is less about religion itself and more about religion used as tool for political and social division. On society. Global conflicts driven by religious intolerance. So, religious identity used to divide communities. Specifically, religious is one of the most emotional part in these riots and all this. So, religious is put in this political areas and people's belief systems and all these are connected with it. So, riots become more aggressive. So, religious conflict arises from intolerance against others' beliefs or practices. Today, we see wars and tension group between groups such as Muslim and Jews, Hindus and Muslims. Historical grievances kept alive. Past violence and injustice continue to shape community memory, keeping mistrust and fear alive across generations. Political across political actors use religions to mobilize people. In cases like Rohingya crisis in Southeast Asia, violence is influenced not just by religion but also by strategic power, media narrative, and inequality. From modern diplomacy, it says that religious conflict is caused by intolerance against another's religious beliefs or practices. Today, we see such wars between Muslim and Jews, Hindus and Muslims. So, also, Sunata and Transvati note that Southeast Asia violence is not just about religion, but tied to strategic power, journalism, and inequality. So here is a case study of Israel and Palestine war. So religious plus politics. So dispute over lands, rights, and identity. Israelis and Palestinians both consider the same land as their historic home. This overlapping claim leads to constant disagreement and fight over borders, ownership, and who has the right to live where. Jerusalem is a scared to both Jews and Muslims. So Jerusalem contains holy sites like Western Wall for Jews and Aqas mosques for Muslims. Because both groups hold these sites as a central to their faith, sharing or controlling the city becomes extremely difficult. Religious claim intensify conflict. Religion is often used to justify political and military action. Leaders on both sides evoke religious beliefs to strengthen their position, which increase mistrust, provoke violence, and keeps the conflict ongoing. Second one is Myanmar Rohingya crisis. So Muslims targeted by Buddhist majority state. So the Rohingya Muslim minority in Myanmar face discrimination from majority Buddhist population and government authorities. Denied citizenship, described as an outsider. So the Rohingya are not recognized as a citizens and are often labeled as a foreigners, even though many have lived in Myanmar for generations. State violence, burning of religious masses, exodus. The government and military have carried out violent attacks, burned homes, and forced hundred thousands of Rohingya to flee the neighboring countries like Bangladesh, creating one of the world's largest refugee crises. Thus, religious is part of story, but other forces like power, media, and economics matter too. Another one is India, so contemporary communalism. So in 2002, Gujarat riots and 2020 Delhi riots. So the 2002 Gujarat violence and 2020 Northeast Delhi clashes are two major recent instances of a large scale Hindu-Muslim communal violence in India, producing death, injuries, mass displacement. This event involved organized mobs, targeted attack on neighborhood, and long-term displacement of victims. Studies and reports document heavy losses for Muslim communities and raised question about state response and policing during the riots. Another is religious identity of often politicized. So political actors, electoral politics have frequently mobilized religious identity to build a majorities and a polarized constituency. Scholars show how communal polarization has been shaped by political discourse and party strategies. This politicization creates an us vs them atmosphere that increase the risk of communal outbreaks. Violence often justified as a protecting faith. Uh, Perpetrators and sympathizers commonly frame attack as a defense of religious. For example, Godhra Koch burning was used to justify retaliatory violence in Gujarat, giving a moral cover to collective punishment and making violent act appear as a protecting faith of honor. Legal and scholarly investigation documents how such narrative legitimize otherwise criminal violence. Why Dattani's play adds value on it. So hatred begins with us. Dattani shows that communal hatred does not only erupt on the streets. It began in people's heart and homes through memories, fears, and stereotypes passed down over generations. Focus on personal responsibility. The play does not only portray collective violence, it highlights how individuals carry guilt and also have the power of resist intolerance through empathy and dialogue. Characters like Bobby and Aruna demonstrate the possibility of breaking the cycles, understanding the process of intolerance. Instead of simply showing riots as events, Final Solutions reveals how intolerance grows through memory, rumor, and mob pressure. This makes the play relevant beyond India as it mirrors a mechanism of global conflict. Critical insights. So, as one critic notes, that Final Solution is a critic of violence, makes a forceful appeal for love and broader understanding. This shows that Dattani's play does not only describe problems but also suggests the human values needed to overcome them. So conclusion is that final solutions show how religious intolerance begins with families and communities. Similar patterns of hate appear in global conflict like Israel, Palestine, Rohingya crisis, and Indian riots. Religion is often misused for politics, keeping old wounds alive. The play urges empathy, dialogue, and shared humanity as the only way to resist intolerance. Here are my references, and thank you. Now, if you have any questions, then you can ask.
Rupali, my question is religion the main cause of conflicts like Israel Pastel or Gujarat riots?
Not always. Religious is not always a main cause, because there are very deeper rule of political power and uh, historical grievance and injustice with people. But religion, because of religion, people's emotion and faith are connected with it. So people become more aggressive towards that riots and all at all.
So, Krupali, my question is what makes religious tolerance in the 21st century especially dangerous?
In 21st century, religious intolerance become more because of in this time, spreading of fake news from social media and digital tools, spreading of fake news and hated speech and misinformation are the leading part of this uh, uh, dangerous, it going to dangerous because of that all.